Welcome to Horror Review Sunday. Let's talk about an underrated, lesser known uh, doll gym, killer doll movie, and that is Dolls. Just Dolls, the third movie from the creators of Reanimator. It's got the same director, producers, studio, composer, effects people, everything. Um, Actors, some of them. Mainly the director's wife is in here, and Ian Patrick Williams. He was in the opening of Reanimator, and he was also in Terror Vision, which was another movie from this company. And I love this movie. I just think it's fantastic. I have really like nothing negative to say about it. I'm not going to call it a masterpiece, but damn close. I think it's just fucking phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Absolutely love it. Let's get into it. This was probably like my fourth or fifth time seeing it now. I got the Blu-ray from Shout Factory, and if you love this movie, get it. It's awesome. It's probably out of print by now, but if it is, that's a shame. Get it though. I think it's on Prime, streaming for free. You can check it out there. So yeah, anything with killer dolls, I'm sold. I'm a huge Child's Play fanatic. Killer doll movies always terrified me as a kid, but this one just slipped under the radar. I'd never heard of it until a couple years ago, and it's now one of my favorite movies of all time. Like, especially of 1987. It's an amazing movie that year. Um, so yeah, what's the premise really? It's these doll makers in this house. They always have a lot of people breaking down in front of their house for some reason. I'm not sure if it's supernaturally happening, like they're somehow causing it, if they're like laying traps out there, like the Hills Have Eyes or some shit. But people break down, they go to their house, and these doll makers slash witches, I think they're witches too, they create these dolls, and the dolls are alive. And they attack the adults who have lost their inner child. Like they don't hurt they don't hurt the kids, but they hurt the adults that are assholes and you know no longer have that heart of a child in them. And there's one character in this movie who has the heart of a child, so they leave him alone. Rolfe, who's a great character in this movie. So let's get into my positives. The characters in this movie I really like, a lot of them, and especially Rolfe and Judy. Just their chemistry together. Just seeing like this, a kid with a guy who's a kid at heart, just walking around this mansion together. It kind of reminded me of Ozzy and what's his face, Alex in Leprechaun. Just like the kid with the adult, who's a little slow and kind of a kid at heart. And it kind of reminded me of them. But they're just great characters. There's a lot of good humor in the movie. It's not like over the top. It's not cringy or anything. It's not slapsticky, but it's just perfect humor. I just was cracking up at this movie. And the cinematography in this movie by Mac Alberg, who does a lot of movies, especially Stuart Gordon films, is beautiful in this movie. I think it's very well shot. It looks very good. It's beautiful. I love the atmosphere. This one setting location, this kind of gothic mansion, candle lit, and there's a storm and going on the whole time. Lots of lightning and rain. It just adds to the atmosphere. The Richard Band score I really love. Just absolutely dig the soundtrack and the opening theme song too. Just that sound also with the opening credits. I'm a sucker for opening credits like this. Kind of reminded me of like the Fun House by Toby Hooper. You got just pictures of dolls throughout the opening credits and just puts you in the right mood. And I just love it. And the opening sequence towards the beginning, without spoiling it right now, fucking awesome. So hilarious. Just one of a kind. I've never seen it anywhere else. It's so unique and just awesome. I can't wait to talk about it in my spoilers. And the twist of like what's also going on with these dolls and like how they're making these dolls is bizarre, and I love it. Doesn't make any sense, but I fucking love it. And you got fun kills in here too. Like it's not ultra gory, but you do see some gore in the movie, and the kills are memorable to me. I think they're pretty fun, a little creative. I like it. And the dolls all look freaky to me, just the way their eyes look and the way their eyes move, and they got like the blood vessels in their eyes, and they look freaky. They got the creepy smiles. Just I love the dolls in this movie, and the doll effects, and how they shoot them, and how they move about. The stop motion effects actually look kind of cool. And John Carl Buechler did the effects for this movie, just like from Beyond, and some of the effects in Reanimator. So just love him as an effects artist. I don't think he gets talked about enough. Everyone, talks about the other ones like Rick Baker and Stan Winston, Tom Savini, but John Carl Buechler, he's right up there for me when it comes to special effects artists. I mean, he created the Jason look in The New Blood. I mean, that should put him up there. So, and it's a very short runtime. This movie doesn't waste time. It gets going. They crash, break down, get to the house, and it's just fun, just atmospheric. It's a blast. It's only 5 minutes. I mean, you take away the opening credits and the end credits, like it's probably less than that. It's a 70-minute movie. It just gets going and doesn't waste any time. So, as for any negatives, I don't really have any. I just didn't care for the hitchhiker characters that much. You're not supposed to like them, but what I mean is like the performances there, and just I thought they were a little too over the top. Just a little just they're really flashy, and one of them has such a thick accent, a British accent, that I couldn't even understand half of what she was saying. It was crazy. I've never heard a British accent that thick. It's just like, I was like, I need captions for this woman. I couldn't hear what she was saying. It was crazy. But other than that, that's it. Like, just the hitchhikers, they could have, tweaked those characters a bit, just, dial it down for them. I didn't like their performances all that much either, especially the one. I think I remember hearing that she was like sick during most of her shooting, so that's why her voice kind of sounds weird. Like there's a moment where she's trying to like sound like kind of upset and crying, and it just doesn't come off that way. It sounds like she's barely speaking at all. It sounds like she has a sore throat, so I guess that makes sense if she was sick. But yeah, it comes off as a bad performance though because of it. But yeah, outside of that, nothing else negative to say here. I love this movie. It's so fun. It's a blast. So, final thoughts. This is a killer doll movie that I absolutely adore. I think it's very quickly paced, and it's bizarre. It's funny. It's got some good characters. The child actress in this movie, while not being an amazing actress, she's adorable. She kind of reminds me of like Andy Barclay in the first Child's Play. Just gives a genuine like child performance. Like she, just gives a good performance for her age and being a kid, and just I love the look of the movie and the dolls. All of it's effective for me, and I enjoy it. So when it comes to dolls, highly underrated movie. Definitely worth adding to your collection. Go out and buy it. Spoilers! Alright, let's get into the bizarre shit that happens in this movie. The first one being the teddy bear attack. So, they break down, they're walking through the forest towards the house, and for some reason the stepmom has to be a bitch and grab her teddy bear and throw it like it's going to help her walk faster and lose some weight. And then she starts daydreaming that the teddy bear grows to like 12 feet, just tall, hovering above them, and then a real bear from within the teddy bear breaks out of the teddy bear and starts ripping the arm off of the stepmom, starts chewing on the dad, like just claws at his face, kills them both, mutilates them, and then the little girl is like, Teddy, and then the teddy bear and the bear within the teddy bear goes, like it does this. It literally does this, like, uh-oh, my bad. Like, sorry I killed your parents. It's fucking hysterical. I love that scene. And then she's given the Mr. Punch doll as a replacement, and then she acts like it's like an adorable replacement doll. It's like, fuck that. Like, this doll? Hell no. I don't think 99% of kids would look at that doll like the clown in Poltergeist and run away. But she seems attached to it right away. It's like, no. And I love how, like, when they break into the house, they're met at gunpoint by the owners, but then later on, the two hitchhikers and Rolfe just barge in, and the hitchhikers immediately they go in there and they act like they've been there before and they're relatives. And they just start eating the soup and everything, just eating out of like the pot and like oh yeah, what's going on, Ted? Like they know them and shit. Like, and they don't get a gun in their face. Like, who the hell are you? And it's like, no guns for you, but we'll point a gun at the child. It's like and then these hitchhikers, they're just despicable, just awful people. When they get there, the first thing they do, besides that, start eating the food right away without introducing themselves, when they get in their room, they like clear the shelf off, like they push the owner's shit off the shelf, like breaking it, put their like boom box on it, and start blasting terrible music. It's like, it's nighttime. I'm sure the owners are probably about to go to bed, and you're going to be blasting your awful music. I don't think so. Like, they deserve to die. And we quickly find out that they are thieves. And I love how she's like talking to the owner of the house, like, are these valuable? Like, and she's like, to us. And then she's like, no, I mean, like, are they valuable to other people? Like, if I went to a pawn shop and I tried, like, she might as well have just came out and said it. Like, if I stole these, how much money would I make if I sold them to someone? Like, it's just hilarious. Um, and then like she's the character that goes like sneaking around at night. How can this woman sneak anywhere without being heard when she has 100 chains on her body everywhere, on her arms, wrists, like her neck, her belt, even like all of her is just chains and necklaces, and just everything is clinging together. Like this woman could never sneak around anywhere without being detected. There's no fucking way. And and then like there's a moment where the dad like goes to hit his daughter, and these are the worst parents ever. And that's just another funny aspect of the film. It's just how bad these parents are. They're fucking terrible. But he's like about to hit her because he's annoyed, and the stepmom's like, "Don't hit her because then we'll end up paying more child support, and that's my money that you'll be using." You know, she's like the sugar mama. You know, he's marrying her for her money and shit. It's like, don't hit her because then we're gonna pay more money in child support. And so then like Rolfe and Judy are walking around. You know, she sees the thief get, you know, injured. Like the dolls grab the thief and they're like barging her head, like hitting her head up against the floorboard. It's kind of brutal, but it just comes off silly, but still brutal. Like banging her head, bang your head, and then you know she's like missing teeth and shit. And Judy sees all this, and her reaction to that when she's getting Rolfe and her parents is nowhere near as terrified as it should be in real life. If a kid saw something like that, the kid would never shut up. They would be crying, hysterics. But she's like, oh, you know, I saw this. And it's like, no, she would be a lot more scared. But, anyways, so she gets Rolfe. They go upstairs, and Rolfe at some point falls down like over 20 wooden steps and just gets right back up and starts walking quickly without a limp, nothing. Like he's not hurt. I guess he's big. He's a big fellow, so I guess it cushioned his fall. But it's like, dude, that would hurt. You would not be like walking normally right after that. It would be like, oh god, he would need some painkillers. And so then the stepmom gets killed, and it's so funny, just her weird decision here. So she's basically trapped in the hallway. You know, you got the dolls over here towards the window and the dolls over here towards the staircase. And instead of just running and jumping over these dolls, she runs and jumps over these dolls out the window and kills herself. She straight up like Gordons herself, like the dog in Friday the 13th Part 4, just jumps out the window. What was she thinking? Like, I can't tell if that was her plan. It was a bad plan if it was. Or if it, I don't know, like, she, like, because at first she's, like, making this mean face, like, she's about to do something to, like, fight back. But all she does is jump out the window. And then she starts screaming, like, oh no, this wasn't according to my plans. Like, then what was your plan? I don't get it. But it's just hilarious. And then, like, another thing that cracked me up was the shot of, like, the dolls, like, hacking at her leg. They're, like, there's two dolls with, like, this big old saw, and they're, like, sawing at her ankle. That was just so funny. And these things got mean bites. Like they're trying to they're eating at her wrist, and they take a good meaty chunk right out of her body. Man, it was bloody. So I like that this movie is actually pretty bloody. It's not like other kids horror movies because this feels almost like a movie that you could show kids. You know, the main character is a kid, so you would think that the tone would match that and be more kid friendly, but you got this bloody stuff going on also, and just some gore, and so it's got a weird tone to it. This movie's bizarre, and that's what I love about it. So and then we get the poster shot. So this movie was written off of the poster. This poster was created, and then they hired a writer to write a story based on the poster. Interesting fact. So in the movie, we get this poster being recreated within the film, and you know she picks up her eyeballs, and I don't really understand like why she's not a doll already. Like we find out this is the twist of the movie that the people who get killed there, that I guess they're not really killed. They just get shrunken down into doll size, and now they're a doll in the house. So all these dolls we've been seeing throughout the movie are actually just prior victims. So I thought that was really interesting and bizarre. Yeah, but like she's like a full size doll. She's just got the doll face and the eyes that fall out, and then she picks them up. Kind of actually that kind of reminds me of Guillermo del Toro, like Pan's Labyrinth, right? The eyeball hands, like kind of reminded me of that. But it's not in the center of the hands, but she's like holding them, but still pretty cool. But yeah, like why she's not like a doll yet? Like what are they waiting for? How quickly is it done? I mean, later on we see how quickly they become dolls within seconds, but she's up there for a while, still in like human size with just a doll face. So it you can't overthink things. So just look past it, but still pretty cool. Um, so yeah, and then like why she can't move her legs also. I mean, she's moving her arms to pick up the eyes, but she's like, she acts like she can barely talk and she can't move her legs for some reason, but whatever. So yeah, and the other girl goes up there, she's fighting the dolls and she breaks their faces, and we see that, we get the twist reveal that they're shrunken people underneath and they're all like rotted and like just sticky looking, like they're like they got like slime all over their faces, and they start like melting and shit when they get like broken open. So it's like the humans with underneath the doll like outer shell, once they're exposed to like the air outside, like it like kills them and they deteriorate. I don't know, it's weird. Then she goes downstairs and she gets gunned down by like this firing squad of toy soldiers. That's another funny kill in the movie. And so the dad goes looking for the kid, and somehow this kid outran him. Like the kid can run faster than the grown up. That's a stretch. And then he quickly just gives up on the search, even though he thinks that Rolfe is a straight up pedophile who might have already been touching his kid. And he just gives up and goes right back to bed, takes a shower in the middle of the night, and then gets back in bed, realizes that his wife is dead, and immediately thinks that Rolfe did it. It's like there's so many like odd character decisions in the movie. It's like, why would you give up looking for your kid that quickly? Because he doesn't give a shit. He's a terrible dad. And even later, like Rolfe, he picks up Judy almost like he's like using her as a shield for like a moment. And even though she's like right in, like he's holding her in front of him, the dad still is like about to strike at him, like risking like almost gonna hit his daughter. Like the dad doesn't care. He could have hit his daughter right in the face with that spike, but he didn't give a shit. And I love when he kills Mr. Punch, and he's like, "Fuck you, clowny!" Like, that's the best line in the movie. We find out, that the victims are the dolls. He shrinks down. He kills Mr. Punch, and then he becomes Mr. Punch himself. He starts shrinking down, and we get like all these different stages of the transformation. And he shrinks all the way down to a Mr. Punch. So I like that too. And then when Rolfe wakes up, just over the top performance. He's like, "The killer dolls." He's like looking right at the camera and everything. And then we get this hilarious note that the guy wrote. The owner of the house, he writes this fake note, acts like it's from the parents. "Dear Judy, I'm leaving you. I'm moving to a different country with your stepmom so you can be with your mom, and we're changing our name so you can never find us." And then Rolfe's like, "Well, what about the hitchhikers? Where do they go?" He's like, "Oh, yes." He takes the note back out. He's like, "P.S. I took the hitchhikers with me, too." And then to top it all off, the cherry on top, what was extra hilarious about this scene is Rolfe's like, "What? Give me that note." Like he wants to read it for himself. And he just tosses the note into the fire before Rolfe can get it. And it immediately incinerates, just goes up. The fire takes that note and it's gone. Poof, out of existence. It's fucking hysterical. That was just so hilarious. And then the fact that the little girl is like asking Rolfe if he wants to be her mom, and he's like, she's trying to like set him up with her mother. Like, "You want to date my mom? You want to go bang my mom and be my daddy?" And then we see the four victims of the movie as dolls on the shelf, just looking at each other. And then there's a new family outside that broke down their car. So that's going to be in the sequel that we never got. So this movie needs a sequel or a remake. without CGI. You can do it practically. Let's do it. I want a Dolls remake pronto. Let's make it happen, Hollywood. So those are my thoughts on Dolls. I love this movie. What do you think about it? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like what you've seen here, you can hit this like button and become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And until next time, fuck you, Clowny.